When we talk about gripping the golf club, be it in putting or in full swings, we always emphasise the importance of having the hands on in the right place. And when we talk about full swings, it's generally pretty considered that we would have an interlinking grip like this, an overlapping grip like this. For most of the world's best players, they use two versions and maybe slight adjustments into the stronger, neutral or weaker positions. But when it comes to putting, the rule book gets thrown out the window and the world's best players and everybody in between uses a myriad of different grips to produce good putting strokes. So it isn't really a tip where I'm going to tell you this is exactly how you must hold it, or this is how you must not hold it, because you'll always be able to find an example on the PGA Tour that would be opposite to what I'm telling you to do. So what I'm going to suggest is that you go to the putting green and you experiment with putter grips and you try different versions, you try different things, and as long as you have a good understanding of the reasons why those grips are considered to be worthwhile using by the world's best players, then maybe you can find something that's going to help your game. The one thing I would suggest with your putting grip is that you don't use your traditional golf swing grip. So the traditional swing grip of an overlapping or an interlinking is encouraging the hands to do a certain job in terms of setting and releasing the golf club, and that's exactly the opposite of what we want to happen when we're putting. When we're putting, we want the club to remain largely locked into the forearms without having too much movement of the wrists. Too much movement's often a breakdown mechanism that causes lots of people to putt fairly poorly. So by changing the grip, we're almost telling the hands that you're doing a different job, don't do the same job that you normally do. So if you're a traditional right-handed golfer and you have a fairly traditional golf grip, what we might consider is that we're going to point the palms towards each other and we're going to have a version of one or two fingers down the shaft to try and give the club a little bit more support. So let's take that top hand, left hand on, facing the other palm, bottom hand on, facing the other palm, and then both fingers pointing down. So the right index finger down the shaft, left index finger down over those fingernails. And that position, if you've never done that before, will feel very different to a traditional golf swing grip, but that's a good thing. And then when I'm rocking it backwards and forwards, I'm trying to not let my hands do too much work. You might take a variation of tucking one finger or another finger in, but as long as it doesn't feel too much like your normal grip, we're doing fine. Now, variations on that, you might see some people now using the claw method or the pen holder method. So the claw method, left hand on the top, right hand might come into this position as a claw grip, which is sort of pushing backwards and forwards. You might see the pen holder grip in this position. My own putting grip, if you've watched some of the putts I've taken, is left hand low. So I'm, as a right-handed golfer, switch my hands around and effectively putt like a lefty. I put back to front in this fashion. All of those grips are designed, and people use them to stop the wrists breaking down, to stop the hands doing too much work. I noticed it with my own putting. I'd sometimes get a bit active with the right hand, flick it, shut the face and hit the ball too far as well. By changing my grip to the left hand low method, my hands are a little bit more passive and I just feel like I get better control of the club face and better control of the distance. But I'm not going to advocate that everybody should use that, because clearly that method's not going to work for everybody. But my key here is to experiment, try things out. And if you go to the putting green and try it out for the first 5 putts and it feels awful, don't give up after 5 putts. Of course, anything new is going to feel uncomfortable for the first few goes. So give it a bit of practice, give it half an hour, maybe try a couple of times in the month, trying to change your putting grip to something a bit more suitable, and see whether you can improve your putting by changing to a good putter grip.